Yo, what's up, Ross? What's good with you, man?
What's good, man? It's how to separate the weak from the strong, man.
Exactly. So, as you know, Floyd Mayweather had to put on the Superman cape to save the day, man. When I saw that the other day, I was laughing my butt off because I said to myself, what is this? Why is this guy a retired boxer, a fighter who, let's be honest, he hasn't been in the sport since technically Andre Berto's fight, because that's really his last boxing fight, right? Um, if we want to be honest with ourselves, that's his last virtuoso performance. I don't count Conor McGregor and all that because to me that's he's not really fighting a boxer. I mean, it goes towards his record,
Right.
but he's not fighting a boxer, so to speak. But it's just so interesting that you have a lot of plum, Rudy Poo, nonsensical, dodo head, dumb as fuck boxing fans that are saying that Floyd is no longer dealing with Leonard Ellerby. He's no longer dealing with Steven Espinoza. I mean, how fucking dumb can you be to think like that? First and foremost, he's not an active boxer. He's an exhibition boxer. Let me say it
Right.
again. He's not an active boxer. He's an exhibition boxer. So he has his own thing going on. How does him having his own thing going on mess with the train of PBC, mess with the train of Mayweather Promotions? Mayweather Promotions, last time I checked, is still his.
Right.
PBC, last time I checked, he basically, if we're being honest with ourselves, he owns half of the shit. And Showtime Sports, he's still contracted with them through Mayweather Promotions, and he's contracted through them with PBC. So if that is the case, then what the fuck are people talking about when they say Floyd Mayweather has left these guys to go to the zone? What I also find interesting is the fact that you said so many years ago that the zone was going to be a failed fucking app. And so many years ago, I said that Canelo Alvarez is not a cash cow, he's a cash earner. And it's so funny how it takes people years to catch up to the way that we explain things. Like it just takes them years, literally. It doesn't take them weeks, it doesn't take them months, it takes them years to catch up to our thought process. I don't know why it takes that long. I don't know if it's just, you know, the way people are upbrought. I don't know if it's just the school system. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if they from Omaha, Nebraska, because it seems like everybody's from Omaha, Nebraska is a classic dope and a fucking troglodyte. I don't know. But the biggest thing is they just don't get it.
I never
And
get
it's
it.
embarrassing that Canelo Alvarez had to have Floyd Mayweather, not only him, Anthony Joshua. The combination of both of them had to have Floyd to come back and save the day. And not only save the day, who the fuck is Deji? What the fuck is an exhibition bout? So Floyd had to do an exhibition bout and come in to save the day with the zone. And here's the thing: they never asked Canelo Alvarez $149.99 for people to pay just to have exclusionary rights to his old fights.
Nope.
And they never said the zone pay-per-view. So it shows you that not only the zone failed, it also showed you that the zone needed to belly up and go back to the platform that they were trying to put out of business.
Yep.
We thought that the zone app was going to put pay-per-view out of business. And that didn't happen. So not only did they have to belly up and accept the fact that they had to do pay-per-view, they had to get Floyd Mayweather to come in and save Canelo Alvarez. So this is an indictment on Canelo because one, he lost to Dimitri Bivol. Two, it reveals to you that Canelo keeps losing inside and outside the ring. So I want your take on this, man.
It's funny that you brought those points up because Canelo has no excuse. He has no excuse to be where he's at right now. He should be higher. Because where he's at right now is an exaggerated pinnacle. He's barely he's not even a cash cow. He's barely a bigger star than Errol Spence. Just because he fought Floyd Mayweather. Canelo was an exaggerated cash cow, man. And I told people, I don't know if it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know if it was longer than that. But I told these motherfuckers, the zone this is gonna fail. Because they brought the wrong they believed in the wrong person, man. Canelo Alvarez is not a guy that wants to take tough fights, competitive fights. He's a guy that wants to least pass a resistance to everything. What does that mean? You can't build a business model off that. You can't. So single-handedly, they invested in the wrong guy and got the short end of the stick. HBO didn't invest in the right guy, and they got the short end of the stick. They out of business. Showtime invested in the right guys, and they're still in the business to this day. And the right guys is PBC, man.
Exactly. And that's why Steven Espinoza can command the monies that he can command and have the projects that he can have because he has Al Heyman under his banner. But shout outs to Aaron Jones. He said they cater to a kind of slow YouTube fan base. Facts. The YouTube fan base, I knew they were slow back in 2019 when I really started getting on the boxing scene. I realized a lot of people in the boxing world, their intelligence levels, man, it's something. It shocks me, man. Every time I talk to them, I think I get stupider. I think I lose brain cells dealing and talking with people because of the fact that not only the way that they comment, half the times you can't read half of what they're saying. It's also the fact that they're listening to people that don't know what they're talking about. Why would Floyd leave, his situations to go to DAZN when he's making $100 million for exhibition bouts? He's making more money than Canelo on exhibition bouts. This is embarrassing. But people want to tell you Canelo Alvarez is a cash cow. So why did DAZN beg Floyd Mayweather and enlist his services and brought him in November 13th? Do you guys know, if you do your research on Canelo's been doing November dates. DAZN, this was a slap to Canelo's face. Canelo's been having November fights the last 4 or 5 years on DAZN. Outside of this September fight with Triple G that he had this year, he's been having November dates. They gave those November dates starting this year to Floyd Mayweather. And if you go look at the deal, it's basically a multi-year deal. And DAZN had to belly up and say, you know what? We're going to do pay-per-view. So it's very clear that Floyd was the reason behind their direction on having to do pay-per-view. Because I'm sure in the contract, he's like, if we're going to make this work, I got to get front end, I got to get back end money, and it has to be pay-per-view. This is embarrassing, man. Because it's not just an indictment on Canelo. It's also an indictment on Anthony Joshua. So it shows you that the UK fans, the fan base, is worth shit. Anything over that fucking pond or that river is worth crap. But it also shows you that these Mexican fans, don't nobody care about them. And them investing in Canelo Alvarez really didn't help the sport in terms of Canelo and what he brought to the table. Because let me be honest with you, real authentic Mexican fans, the ones that's in Mexico, they don't even believe in Canelo Alvarez.
They don't.
Because for you to be a real Mexican fighter, you have to lose. You have to be willing to go in there and take on real hard fights and know that you're going to walk away with a loss. Canelo is not a naturally born Mexican. I keep saying that. Because naturally born Mexicans, they understand this. They accept this. That's why he doesn't get respected by the Juan Manuel Marquez's of the world. That's why he doesn't get respected by the Nacho Beresteins of the world. That's why these people do not show him respect at all. Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar de la Hoya, none of these people respect him. If you go and say the name of Canelo Alvarez in Mexico, they laugh at that name.
Mm-hmm.
It holds no weight. But he's supposedly a cash cow. No, he's a cash earner. Because when under his reign, we saw a Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz fight basically force Canelo Alvarez, and this was Canelo fighting, wasn't it Crush the Crusher that he fought? Wasn't it him that he fought that fight? And they had to wait.
Yeah.
They had to wait until that MMA fight was over. When have you ever seen Floyd Mayweather wait for an MMA fight to be over for him to actually come in and do his thing? That's why I'm laughing my ass.
Never. They had to wait on Floyd. They had to wait on Floyd, or they had to avoid the whole date altogether. And Floyd was on it.
You can hate Floyd Mayweather all you want. Love or hate him. Floyd Mayweather, once again, had to come back and save the zone. That's sad, man. That should be what we're talking about from this point going into next year. So what this tells you is Canelo is ain't shit. And fight fans are starting to catch up to Canelo. And if you were a person who your platform was geared towards pushing Canelo, you are really losing right now. Not only did you lose after Dimitri Bivol, a lot of guys have not recovered. A lot of platforms haven't recovered since that. But now they double not recovering, because to me, this was, I believe it was a power play that Floyd did, because Floyd, you could tell he is messy like that. Floyd did that as a power play to remind Canelo and the boxing world, I run this shit.
Right.
And I believe that's what it was, to remind Canelo, because Canelo was getting too stupid with his mouth. So he had to remind him real quick. It's embarrassing, man. It's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, because people have to realize something. Whenever you got somebody that's in their prime who's refusing to fight the top level fighters at their primes, but calling out a fighter that's past his prime out of retirement, you're dealing with someone who don't respect the sport of boxing. He don't respect his fan base, and someone who always wants to at least pat the resistance.
Facts.
Every one of Canelo's top names that he fought past their primes. Every one of them. I'm talking about every one of them. He fought past their primes. So, like, people convince me with this Canelo is a cash cow shit. When you're a cash cow, everything shuts down on your fight date. Ain't nobody going to get no haircuts for a Canelo fight, man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody going to buy no fresh outfits and finna go hit the sports bar for a Canelo fight, man. Motherfuckers be putting that shit over there. Ain't nothing else to watch. Like, yeah, he don't move the needle that way. He's not, he never was. His biggest fight was with Floyd. You know what I'm saying? And that makes sense, but that's a big platform to be on. So that's a big shout out. That's like Jay-Z in his prime telling you could feature on a song with me. I want you on my album. That's like when Kanye put somebody on their album, the boost that happened to their career, they all of a sudden become music geniuses. Wherever Kanye have an album, niggas start calling them geniuses afterwards and shit. Just because it was on the Kanye album. That's the type of platform they gave Canelo by letting him fight Floyd. and this motherfucker still ain't no cash cow. That don't make no sense, man.
I'm glad you used the music comparison because that's like when Jay-Z was telling Benny Siegel, what more do you want me to do? I gave you a clothing line. What more do you want me to do? I put you in position to be successful. So you not doing what you're supposed to and you not remaining successful, that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. Till this day, we're still deciphering Canelo's success based on his fight against Floyd Mayweather. That's pathetic, man. That's the only reason why he's relevant, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Let's be honest. This nigga don't want so many belts since then, but his career has been on a downslide since then. And that's gonna show you that the way they operate, the way these boxing councils and federations and associations, the way they operate, they make it so that the belts don't really mean as much. Because he got these belts, and half of them he didn't have to fight the real people for the belt, vacant belts, franchise belts, quasi undisputed, but not actually because he don't have all the belts. Like shit like that has made the belts matter less.
Exactly.
Because you can see that they just they just make whoever they want to undisputed. Kind of like if Errol Spence was white, they would be forcing Terrence Crawford to sign that contract to hurry up and get this fight done. It wouldn't be the way they report it. It wouldn't be vague. It wouldn't be we don't know who's in the right, who's in the wrong. We just really hope this fight's done, or it wouldn't be so anti Errol Spence. It would be. Well,
let's kick it up. Let's kick it up a notch. If Al Heyman was white, because really that's the indictment. The indictment is not on the boxer. The indictment is on the brand, because I think now you segued it beautifully, because we really have to harp on that and talk about it. What is the issue with Al Heyman? Why do people hate on a black man who is in control? Is it because it points out insecurities in black people that are not in control? I mean, let's get down to the root of the problem here. Who are the people? Who are the biggest people? Who are the biggest criticizers? Who are the biggest opposers? It's sad that when people's credentials are pulled, all they want to do is show their personal disdain and bias to a guy who is really not even thinking about you. He pulled your credentials when he pulled it, and you haven't been in his mind ever since. And you will never be in his mind ever since at that point. When people give people opportunities, it's not for you to flex your muscles. What people have to understand, and this is a thing that people don't get in business. I've gotten this from day one. There's levels in business. When you just starting out as a businessman, or you are what we would say a journeyman, right? Someone that's just getting through the ranks. If there's someone out there that has been there, been doing it before you, you should fall yourself up under that person if you want a seamless transition, in order for you to figure out how you're going to unction yourself and how you're going to maneuver and decipher what type of business person you're going to become. Right. But the other thing too is when you're an employee, you have an employer. And it's like people forget that. Whatever level of service you're in as an employee, you must act like an employee. That means that there's limitations to what you can and can't say. So if you are a person that's in the media and you're covering these PBC fights, you can't use that as your way to say, well, I have a platform on YouTube, or I have a platform on this independent other place, so I'm just going to say whatever, and think and be stupid enough and be naive enough and be ignorant enough to not think it's going to go back to those people that are cutting you checks for the fact that you're covering fights. Right. Like, you just have to be stupid to not think that. And then you want to get after them because what? They don't allow you to cover fights anymore. When really you should just be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I fucked up.
Oh, this sounds like barbershop conversations right here.
That's exactly who I'm referring to.
Yeah, man.
I fucked up. When you fuck up, the best thing as a man is when you fuck up, you look at yourself in the mirror and you just say you fucked up.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of these dudes don't have a masculine mentality. They have a very beta, very feminine mentality, and that mentality is man, if I only would have had this, I could have did that. Or man, these people, man, if it wasn't for these people, man, the problem is you. You got to fess up. You got to own your shit, and you got to get better, man. At the end of the day, the reason why they show against PBC and not against any other boxing company is because the black man is not supposed to have any power. The reason why they was against Floyd. Floyd has sole control over his career. The black man not supposed to have sole control over his career. They wasn't hating on Floyd like this when he was with Bob Arum. Only people that was hating on Floyd when he was with Bob Arum was the people who was hired to keep his value down. That was Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant during the fights. They'll try to hate on Floyd, but the boxing world, what they was they were on Floyd. Floyd is part of that top ranked ESPN machine back then. But when Floyd left, he became enemy number one because he got sole control of his career. So who they sent at him? They sent blatantly. They sent black Uncle Toms at him, and covertly they sent white racists at him. Just like with the Kanye LeBron situation. So as Kanye speak up on some things they don't like, they send their homegrown corporate slave, LeBron James. If me and he knows do a filming of a show and he don't really like some of the points I made, he think it might get his shit flat. Me and him could work that, but like, man, you know what? We might have to start a Patreon for this because the shit you said was kind of inflammatory. Can't put that shit on YouTube and nobody else will know about it. The reason
But
why
here's the other thing too, Ross. When you say that, there's been plenty of times. Well, salute to you, Haitian Joe. There's been plenty of times where Ross has said some things that creatively it may be more than what I would want, but I just let him ride. We talk about it after the fact. I'm not gonna pull what you said in that moment. Like we'll talk about it after the fact, and I will say, Ross, maybe let's still be direct, but maybe we could skew it a little bit. But you saying it at that moment, I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna pull what you're saying. And honestly, every time you said what you said in that moment, it's hit whoever it's hit, it's reached whoever it's reached. And people actually wanted to hear that in that moment, in that period of time. They actually really wanted to say that. And you were able to win some people over. But I'm not going to scrap it. And this right here shows you why LeBron James is a glorified puppet. I just wanted to say that as you go back
yeah,
to your point.
that's why my point was more so if you did though, let's say you did, you wouldn't do it, and then you would do it. The only people that don't know about it was me and you. That you changed or alter something. You wouldn't alter something or scrap it, then go and make a video. Be like, yeah, man. So based on Tom Ross TV actions, I had to scrap this show we was getting ready to do. All that saying is like I said before. All that saying is, look at me, master. I don't agree with him. Please don't take your anger out on me. That's all that's saying. You could not agree with somebody or do whatever it takes for your career and keep it on the low. But he wanted to blast them just to make that separation, not really understanding. It's only certain part of the basketball community that even respect LeBron James. Most actual men, grown men, don't. LeBron James saying, I'm dissing myself for Kanye." That that makes Kanye look better because we know LeBron James is a fraud. So it's not like that hurt Kanye by LeBron saying, I don't fuck with Kanye like that. That's making him look more legit.
Yeah, because Kanye is more powerful on the scale of power than LeBron. I mean, let's be
And
honest.
he's been known to be more real. Even if you say something that's not true or unrelatable, he's still being himself. LeBron James has been known to be very calculated and to do what makes him look good.
And you know what this does? This makes me look like the visionary. Because didn't I say so many years ago, LeBron was a fake woke individual? I remember doing a live talking about that. And
Super fake
that right
woke.
there is case in point because what Kanye West was talking about white lives matter, and because Kanye West was about to bring up an ancillary point that was going to be controversial. That's why you have the shop. I thought you were a boss.
Right.
See, people that think people are bosses but really are not bosses.
They're not
LeBron is
bosses.
not a boss. LeBron is what you call a glorified puppet. A
Right.
boss is someone who could do what the fuck they want to do and can live and deal with the results and the ramifications that come from doing whatever the fuck they want to do. I'm a boss. I do what the fuck I want to do. Anybody could tell you that. I don't care who it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
I don't care who it is. They can tell you I'm a boss because I don't take shit from nobody, and I move the way that I want to move. You know,
Exactly.
that's
So
what a boss is. You move the way that you want to fucking move.
and that's the problem. LeBron don't have no problem with looking as if he's him, but not being him. Like the whole time he's been in the NBA, he's been parading around like he's him, like he's that guy, and rarely has ever been that guy on the team. We all play basketball, man. The guy on the team ain't the guy who always passing the ball.
Do you realize this would have been the moment where LeBron would have actually gotten some credit from me and you? We'd have given him some shine by him allowing Kanye West to talk about Black Hebrew Israelites, because that's why I sent you the link, because
Yeah,
you're gonna hear Kanye saying that these are the things that LeBron didn't want out there, because these are the things that disrupt white America. To say
that's
that
what I'm trying
we
to
as
tell you.
Black men are the actual Hebrew Israelites, that fucks people up.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm trying to tell you, and I'm trying to tell people who are listening is this dude didn't even say nothing that was anti-Semitic. All he said was, according to the scripture, according to historical data, we are the people, blase blase. You notice people are saying this and saying that and being all inflamed. Nobody is trying to prove them wrong. It's easy to say, "Oh, all my feelings are hurt." Okay, when your feelings are done being hurt, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong, man. I think it's the Declaration of Belfort, 1948,
Mm.
when when they just moved a whole race of people over there in Israel that wasn't from over there. They
Mm-hmm.
moved a whole race of people and put them there and just start calling them that.
Yeah, they brought them to they created the transatlantic slavery movement, and then just basically moved them out in certain sectors of Africa, certain sectors of these places that people consider supposedly Israel. That wasn't its actual name, by the way. Um, and all of these different sectors, and then just shot them into Haiti, shot them into Dominican Republic, shot them into America, give them the name of Negroes, shot them into Brazil, shot them into, these Polynesian places. When you really look at us and you look at these types of people, you could tell we identify more with Hebrew Israelite than anything, because we keep our hair out. There's a reason for that. When people always say why Black men always grow their hair, they never shave like that, they keep their beards, because that's the Israelite thing
Right,
in us to do, to
right.
grow our hairs out.
That's a
You
tradition.
know, it's tradition. These things are traditional. That's why you don't see we do things a certain way. But anyways, going back to this, you got an idiot here. Your last name betrays you when you say Floyd is a snake. This is the thing, when you have a white Spaniard last name, it's a slave last name that you have. You probably are Anglo-Saxon in your skin color. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Floyd is not a snake. Floyd came in and saved the day, because your Canelo Alvarez, your beloved Canelo Alvarez, couldn't even do it. When he was part of the zone, they were failing.
Right.
The app failed. I saw it on the stock market. They bounced.
Yeah.
So Floyd had to come in and save the day.
And
So
then
Floyd is helping the zone. As a matter of fact, the zone begged Floyd to come in to save the day because they knew his namesake would do that. So once again, it's an indictment on your beloved Canelo Alvarez. So shut the fuck up.
that don't even make sense. Um, He didn't want nobody else to get the DAZN. He ain't stopped nobody from going over and getting no bag. The problem is the difference between a cash cow and someone who's an earner. Canelo went over there, got a bag, and did nothing for that company. The company flopped, went belly up, man. Floyd finna go over there, get the bag, and he's gonna add value to that company. It's two different things. Canelo actually got overpaid. He went over there and fought 10 fights. Absolutely nobody, man. Either he was fighting trash fighters or he was fighting fighters who are past their prime or coming off some type of catastrophic injury. Niggas like he fought Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs had just beat cancer, man.
Yep.
Danny Jacobs just beat cancer. It's like 6 months prior to the fight. Seriously. This nigga just beat cancer. He was on his deathbed like 6 months earlier.
He fought James Kirkland, but he didn't let Ant Wolf be his trainer, right?
Right. Like
you
get the fight, but you can't have Ant Wolf as your trainer. Like, come on, man. He got undisputed, but he didn't fight Benavidez. How you get undisputed?
No. He fought a guy by the name of, what was it? Caleb Smith.
Yeah, how you get undisputed without fighting the best guys in the weight class? That don't make no sense. So Canelo did this to himself by always ducking Charlo, always ducking Demetrius Andrade. Everybody knows undisputed at 168 doesn't mean anything. It's undisputed at 160 and 147 and heavyweight is what means something. If he wanted to make his name, he's supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade to become undisputed. He ducked that fight. He ducked Benavidez. He ducked Charlo.
And it's funny because Demetrius Andrade was the easiest fight to be made because wasn't Demetrius Andrade on DAZN the whole time?
On DAZN
that was the easiest fight to be made at the time.
On DAZN the whole time, man.
Well, let's talk about the black Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford. Why does Terrence Crawford gets to constantly disrespect Al Heyman? Why does he get to ask stupid ass questions like, I'm getting 35% net versus gross? I thought that was the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, have you ever done taxes? Have you ever been an employee on any level? Because I thought being a boxer, you are an employee.
Terrence Crawford represents for the white powers that be. He represents the population of black people who always second guess black leadership. So just like
say that again.
He represents the population of black people who always second guess black leadership and always co-sign white leadership no matter what. So we have those people in our family. We work with those people, whether they be black. These are classifications white people gave us, but I say this for the conversation flow, whether it be brown or black people with names that white people have given us. We all have these people in our families, people we work with, who, no matter what, if it's a black leader, side they find everything to complain about. They want to second guess everything. They want to go behind his back and tell his superior shit. But when it's a white leader, they accept everything and they just move as soon as they say something, whether it be right, wrong, or different. They don't challenge them at all, right? He's here for those people who have that inner slave in them that always wants to attack people whom look like them. The whole time Terrence Crawford been at the welterweight division, all he has done is talk negativity about black business and black business owners.
But let's talk about the contract. If he would have got 35% from Bob Arum, do you know he would have said, "Oh, that was a great deal"? Him and Bomac would have said, "I got a great deal. I got the great side of it." They wouldn't have sat there and said, "I got the short end of it." And then you have black channels, because I'm about to post up shorts on this shit later on today. I have a litany of shorts, litany of shit that I got to put up. My creative juices are starting to flow really crazy between today and tomorrow. So y'all gonna see a lot of shit I'm gonna be posting up to get after a lot of people. But I actually heard people say Terrence Crawford gets 35%. He doesn't need to show up to no events. He needs to just say fuck PBC. Why would you do that? When he's getting the short end of the stick with Top Rank, does he not show up to the promotional ranks? When Bob Arum is sitting right next to Terrence Crawford in his face and telling him you are boring as fuck.
Right,
You can't sell a chicken dinner, let alone a cookout. Is Terrence Crawford not showing up?
Right. Terrence
He's
Crawford showing up to be
disrespecting the man straight in his face, but yet he's right there. But Al Heyman gives you 35%, the biggest payday of your life. And now you have black channels that are telling Terrence Crawford, sign the low end supposedly of the deal. When really he's getting 15% more than what he actually deserves. He really deserves 20%. If we're being honest here, should be an 80-20 split. So he's getting a field day here, right? But no, don't show up to no promotional events. Just say, I'm coming to the fight. First and foremost, Terrence Crawford don't even have that power. So whoever is advising him that, you could tell that they are exactly what they are. Idiots that have a microphone and that are just running their fucking mouths. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because once you are contractually obligated, contractually obligated to do something, you have to do everything in that contract. You have to show up to promotional events or you will be fucking sued. You have to be right there doing the face-ups and the face-to-face. So whoever's advising him this, you are the dumbest motherfucker on the planet. And for people to actually buy this right here is shocking to me, that people are getting to this point to where they want Terrence Crawford to do this. But then it speaks to why the fight has not materialized the way it materialized. And it speaks to why the fight is not going the way that it's supposed to go, because you have a bunch of Bud Man fans, Terrence Bud Crawford fanboy man crushers, a bunch of Omaha Nebraskans, a bunch of Negroes that's missing a few fucking screws that are sitting here not challenging Terrence Crawford. This is what I said to Ross offline, and I'm going to say this so everyone can hear it. You realize Bud Man fans never challenged Terrence Crawford when it comes to challenging him to step up and take the fight. They're always sympathizing with him. They're always empathizing with him. They're always apologizing for him. But when it comes to Earl Spence, they don't cut him no slack. Heck, I'm an Earl Spence fan. Ross is an Earl Spence fan. And let's be honest, there's Earl Spence fans here in the comment sections, right? They've held Earl Spence feet to the fire when he did things that he wasn't supposed to. When he was all chummy with Yellow Beezy, I don't do no fruit cake shit like that. So I held his feet to the fire with that shit. I said, hey man, that shit look fruity as fuck. We don't do fruitcake shit over here. When Earl Spence was blowing up between fights, drinking and shit, like, no, come on, man, get your standard up. Make sure you're on point. When Earl Spence was just kind of living his life kind of just in a way where he was just doing whatever and he ended up in a car crash, we held his feet to the fire. Gervonta Tank Davis, when he was blowing up in between fights, we held these guys' feet to the fire. But Terrence Crawford, this motherfucker right here, Devin Haney was with DAZN and he was with Eddie Hearn and he left them. They were kissing Eddie Hearn's and them ass. He left them. Now he's with Top Rank and now they kissing Bob Arum's ass. You gotta see how these people move, right? Mm-hmm. But Terrence Crawford, the whole time, has been coming up with excuses after excuses. Oh, it's because there's no events for my family. That's stupid. You're a fight fan. I thought you said let's just keep it boxing. Let's just keep it boxing. If that's the case, if you even going by that one-trick pony archaic viewpoint, right? Then why aren't you just saying, look, Terrence Crawford, we don't care about all that. Sign the fucking contract and let's get to the fight. They're always apologizing for this guy, and that's pathetic. Because what it does, it showcases that they really don't want Terrence Crawford to fight Earl Spence, because they want, like Terrence Crawford, for Terrence Crawford to hold up the smoke and mirrors record that he has so that he can keep talking trash. Because really, that's what Terrence Crawford is doing. He's stalling himself to the point to where he's trying to run away from this fight. He doesn't want to fight Earl Spence.
Nah, he don't want this fight at all.
His nervous energy the whole time has been alluding to it. Because let's be honest, the only reason why he entertained fighting Spence is because he thought he saw something in the Sean Porter fight, right? And he thought because of the Danny Garcia fight, Spence didn't abuse Danny Garcia, even though he gave him a black eye for months, right? he was like, "Oh, I still got a chance," because he's gauging himself, right? But then when he saw the Udenis Ugas fight, he saw that Udenis Ugas's eye, and he saw that Udenis Ugas had to be operated under the table for 40 plus hours, and then he saw that Udenis Ugas has been out of the scene for 6+ months, and now he's been signed off to actually train. Terrence Crawford started thinking, "Fuck, that could be me. That could be me too."
Me
Probably
personally,
worse.
I don't think he ever wanted this fight. I think he knew he had to act like he wanted to fight because you can't act like you don't want to fight the top guy in your division. But his actions have proven time and time again that he do not want this fight. Just from the very beginning of when he came to the welterweight division, when he went to top rank where there's no fighters at, instead of the PBC, I knew he didn't want to fight right there. He wanted a buffer that he could hide behind so he could say, "This is the reason why the fight ain't happening." Errol Spence goes down, you don't fight none of the top welterweights while Errol Spence is hurt and injured. You fight all bums. Then when Errol Spence comes back and fights the rest of the guys with the belts, you say he's ducking you because he ain't fight you yet. Aren't you supposed to be the best at welterweight? Don't that mean you supposed to come last, nigga?
Exactly.
Just be honest, you don't want to fight.
You don't.
Because
And there's nervous energies all over him.
Now that there's no one else in the way, now there's all these excuses from Bud.
Yes.
Hey, how come I hear an echo?
Oh, I don't hear the echo.
Now there's all these excuses from Bud, man. All these fucking excuses out of nowhere. Now all of a sudden it just hits you that Al Heyman might have been taking you for a ride. Now you want to sue him. You just now noticed that? Didn't Floyd Mayweather make it obvious not to do business with this dude? But you went over there anyway.
Question, when two niggas want to fight in the hood, and you see one nigga always making excuses, does that mean the nigga want to fight?
No, man.
Because when a nigga want to fight, they throw they set up and they fight, right?
Right. He don't take 20 minutes to take off his watch.
Exactly. Or he don't wait until other niggas come and hold him back, right?
Right. Nah. He get that shit off immediately. Get himself prepared to defend himself.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
when I'm ready to fight, I'm not throwing up no set. I already threw a fucking set. That's me. Because I'm not trying to get hit. I don't know what power you got. I'm not trying to get hit by you, but I'm gonna make sure you feel me first. Maybe that's just a Haitian Joe know what I'm talking about. That's a Haitian thing. I don't want to feel your hit. I'm gonna make sure you feel my hit first. Like that's just the way I roll. That's how my father taught me how to fight. Don't never let nobody touch you. Don't never let nobody put their hand on you because you don't know how strong they are. You put your hand on them and let them feel you first. Right. Then let them deal with it. That's how I fight. You ain't gonna get off on me. I'm gonna get off on you. But that means I'm ready to fight, right? But Terrence Crawford is not showing that he's ready to fight. All he's been doing is barking. That's it.
Think about this. Terrence Crawford knows that he don't want this fight, but he done backed himself into a corner to where if he don't take this fight, where else does he go, right? Now, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to leverage the fact that he has the last measly belt of to get Errol Spence undisputed, and he's trying to leverage that fact to get either more money or to price himself out the fight altogether. See, he can fool y'all. He can't fool motherfuckers like me. You gotta get up early in the morning, man.
Yep.
You gotta get up before the birds to fool me.
Even then.
You know what I'm saying?
I was born at night. I wasn't born last night.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta get up early. You know what I'm saying? And you might get me. But nah, this motherfucker right here, he ain't fooled me not one day. Because at the end of the day, when there's two great fighters, even if one's greater than the other, the clamoring is gonna be more feverish. It's gonna be a feverish pitch. Right now, for this fight, it should be more clamoring for this fight. You want to know why there's not that much clamor for this fight? Because the whole boxing world know Errol Spence is gonna stomp Terrence Crawford, man. That's why.
And most of the people that identify with Terrence Crawford, like Terrence Crawford, they're mediocre as fuck. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Mediocrity begets mediocrity. We talked about that offline. Trolls love to be where other trolls are at because that's where they feel most comfortable, right? Mediocre people love to be around mediocre people because that's where they're the most comfortable at. Terrence Crawford's mediocre, so they can identify with his mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have your sister and your mom fighting your battles for you, and you're not telling them shut the fuck up, I'm the one that's supposed to be doing this myself. That's questionable and suspect in of itself.
Right.
When have you ever seen Earl Spence's mom or girl or whoever come in and talk for him? When has that ever happened? Never. And Terrence Crawford doesn't know how to finesse Earl Spence because you see the thing with Top Rank, and that's what Earl Spence was talking about when he said Top Rank promotes nothing but smoke and mirrors. Bob Arum is smoke and mirrors, and they are Top Rank strange, is because of the simple fact that Terrence Crawford has been given fighters that he's supposed to beat.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look at his boxing career, that's what he's been given. People that he's supposed to defeat, people that he's supposed to win against. But for some reason, he cannot strong arm Earl Spence mentally. Because every time he does the back and forth, he starts talking and running his mouth. Spence like, man, I ain't with all that talk. See your ass in the fucking ring when I punish your ass.
Right.
You have to understand what that does to the person psychologically when someone basically shuts you off. There's a psychological power swing, a pendulum swing in that person's favor. When a person can shut you off, don't pay you no mind, and use their silence. There's power in silence, man. And psychologically, that messes with Terrence Crawford. Like, damn, I can't get this dude to go back and forth with him. No, he's not gonna go back and forth with you. He want to go back and forth with you, but the back and forth he want to do with you is in the ring.
But the thing is, when you ain't trying to, all you want to do is talk, and you ain't really try. You ain't about no action. You want to keep You want to keep the give and take of energy. You want to keep that verbal. You know what I'm saying? Because you know you ain't gonna have no action. People know at the silence comes action. At the silence, shit gotta move. In a relationship, long as people arguing back and forth, they'll stay in a bad relationship as long as there's a give and take. But when one of those partners stops arguing, it goes silent. Actions have to happen after that.
Yep.
Because now it's not a give and take. It's not a give and take anymore. It's not a give and take. Now there's one person who by nature of how they're acting has said they're done.
Yep.
They're done. You know what I'm saying? And once that happens, action must ensue. The thing about it is Terrence Crawford don't want the arguments to stop because he don't want to move on to the action.
Exactly.
Nah, yeah, what move to the action? If he has to take this fight, he wants to garner so much sympathy that when he loses, that people say he dared to be great, or they give him an excuse for losing, vice to holding him accountable and saying for all these fucking years you say he was better than Spence and you got beat easy work. What do you have to say for yourself? So he's trying to garner all this attention and all this sympathy, so it could be an excuse for why he lost.
Yep. And I'm loving the whole energy of Earl Spence because Earl Spence is embodying down south dudes, man. Us dudes in down south, the dirty south, we don't talk, man. When it comes to fighting, we just want to whoop your ass, man. We ready to throw the set up. That's why I'm loving it. Right. Because Terrence Crawford's not used to that, man. He's not used to that down south energy. He's just not. He don't understand it. Spence just wants to get in the ring, beat this motherfucker up, and move on about his business, man. That's what he wants to do. Terrence Crawford is not somebody that Earl Spence is sitting here thinking about 24/7. All he wants to do is get this guy in the ring. And this is when I realized in their exchange why Terrence Crawford is not what people thought that he was. And I also realized that this is one of the easiest fights that Terrence Crawford, one of the easiest fights that Errol Spence is ever going to fight at 147. Because he's fighting a guy who's really not a 147 pounder, if we're being honest. Terrence Crawford is a 140 pounder who ran away, by the way, from the fighters that actually could have exposed him.
As soon as he seen Danny Garcia, he got the fuck out of 140.
Yep.
Got the 147 and still didn't fight him.
Yep.
Like, people gotta ask themselves, what's stopping Terrence Crawford? What was stopping him from fighting these guys when Errol Spence was gone?
Because Errol Spence had a car crash. Why didn't you just collect those other belts?
Right. What was stopping you from fighting these guys? You could have fought Sean Porter right after Errol Spence fought him. You could have right after, not years later. You could have fought Danny Garcia before. Both of these guys were your number one. One was your mandatory, and one was your number one contender. You could have fought both of them while Errol Spence was gone. He could have
fought Keith Thurman a lot sooner. He could have made that fight happen. I'm talking about the Keith Thurman prior to even when he fought Manny Pacquiao. He could have had that opportunity to fight him. And he could have fought Eudenis Ugas before Errol Spence even touched Eudenis Ugas. He had options here.
He just didn't want to fight nobody.
No, Ross. He didn't want to get exposed. Let's be honest.
Right. I'm saying the same thing. He didn't want to fight nobody. But why is that? When you the man, you want to fight everybody. The reason why you picking and choosing, you don't want to fight people. You don't want no names in your resume. That's because you're afraid. You're afraid, like, man, this nigga might touch me up before the Errol Spence fight. That people might be saying, "Oh man, this nigga can't fuck with Errol Spence. Let me not fight no comp."
And that's why I say shout outs to the real Marlo TV, because he's the only other one. I'm always shout out that dude. That dude, I love that dude, man. Yeah. That dude is the only other dude outside of us that said Spence is gonna fuck Terrence Crawford up definitively. Nobody else is saying it outside of us, because of the fact that everybody wants to hedge their bets. They actually think Terrence Crawford is nice like that. That motherfucker is not nice like that, man. I'm telling you, this motherfucker is not nice like that. He gets touched up way too much. And he has crumbled under opposition that are way smaller than Errol Spence, not as sturdy as Errol Spence. So what the fuck do you think Errol Spence is going to do to him?
And he can't deal with the jab, man.
He cannot deal with the jab.
And guess who jabbed the most in the welterweight division? Errol Spence.
And here's the dig. Shakur Stevenson, who has sparred with Terrence Crawford and said Terrence Crawford beat him up. When they asked Shakur Stevenson, and that's what I like about Shakur Stevenson, because he's a natural boxer, so he knows boxing. They asked him who has the best jab in the game. He didn't even hesitate. He said Errol Spence. But you got beat up by Terrence Crawford, right? I thought Terrence Crawford was a better boxer. Isn't that what they're pushing? He's a better boxer. But Shakur Stevenson just told you fundamentally, Errol Spence is more fundamentally sound than Terrence Crawford. See, boxing is not about flash. And that's what a lot of dumbass fuck boxing fans don't realize. They're thinking boxing is a flashy sport. Boxing is about fundamentals. It's about technique,
man.
And he just basically told you from a fundamental standpoint, that's what Shakur is telling you. If you really are paying attention, that Errol Spence is a better boxer than Terrence Crawford fundamentally, because he said he has the best jab in the game. And they asked Shakur Stevenson, what about Terrence Crawford? He said, I didn't hesitate. Errol Spence got the best jab in the game by far. Easy. Like, he didn't even hesitate. And then when they asked Shakur Stevenson who would win between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, man, you know, I like Terrence Crawford, but man, Errol Spence is a dog. It's the way he said it. People don't realize when someone animates something, there's a truth behind animation. That's why you guys see I animate a lot, because when I animate, I'm telling you the truth behind something. He animated that. He said, man, Errol Spence is a dog. This is a guy, highly skilled boxer, in Shakur Stevenson that's telling you this. Man, Errol Spence is a dog. Then when they asked Andre Ward saw Mean Machine hit Terrence Crawford. I know Andre Ward, because Andre Ward is such a utilities man. Like, damn, And that's when Andre Ward said it. And that's what a lot of people didn't catch it. That's why he was basically saying Spence is gonna fuck up Bud, because he said, man, I don't know if Bud can handle Earl's pressure.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason why he said that. Y'all motherfuckers, it's like a lot of motherfuckers are just stupid.
But here's another thing though that we must formulate and we must dissect in this conversation. The Mexican fighter has polluted the come forward pressure style. And because they use it so much, it's not respected. Because they use it so much, it's not even considered boxing. To come forward pressure style, done correctly, it's a high level form of boxing. Slipping, sliding, moving around, cutting the ring off, forcing guys who want to box to fight, forcing guys who want to fight to box at the end of the jab. That is a real boxing style. But because the Mexican style has used it, it's just considered pressure. It's not considered real boxing. Now people think only if you're moving backwards that you're boxing.
Floyd used the come forward style occasionally, but the guys who used the come forward style the most was Andre Ward. When Andre Ward was fighting an aggressive style fighter, all you got to do is look at the fight against him and Sakio Bika. Andre Ward beat him with come forward style, but he beat him in a very versatile come forward style because he was dealing against a guy who was very awkward, and Andre Ward knew he had to press the button to fuck that motherfucker up. But the guy who is the master of come forward is Earl Spence, because Earl Spence does it with parrying of punches. And that's what people don't understand. You can be a front forward fighter and still be defensively responsible. Earl Spence is defensively responsible. That's why he laughed at Timothy Bradley when Timothy Bradley was also a come forward style fighter. But Timothy Bradley tried to say Earl Spence get touched up, and then Earl Spence did the dig when he said, but your ass in the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, your ass was jarring for a year and a half. Shut the fuck up, motherfucker.
Right.
So don't ever compare me and you. Basically, I'm come forwarding as my style, but ain't nobody hitting me to the point to where I have to go and get spoon fed for a year and a fucking half. That's basically what he was saying.
After that Ruslan Provodnikov fight, this motherfucker couldn't. He said right after the fight, he had forgot how to talk.
Exactly. Exactly. After the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, his woman said he forgot how to fuck. Let's be honest. She said that he forgot how to fuck.
I nigga ain't forget that nigga body was fucked up. Nothing his body in those positions be having no recreational activity.
Yeah. People forget that. I'm not joking. This is not no laughing matter. This is serious. His wife said that. She said that on the interview. She said he forgot how to fuck. Like we had to go 3.5 months. We couldn't have sex. So he was fucked up.
Yeah, man.
He was literally fucked up.
Off a motherfucker.
And he has the nerve to sit here and say Earl Spence get hit too much. Come on, man. Shut the fuck up.
Off a fighter who was never that good at boxing. Ruslan Provodnikov just got heavy hands. He's slow. He's slow-footed. He's not fast. So imagine he would have been there with Earl Spence. He would have got chopped down, man. That shit would have been ugly. That should have been worse than Bundu. Because at least Bundu has some good footwork. He can move around a little bit and prolong the fighter. Timothy Bradley used to spray his own ankles with horrible footwork.
And let's not forget, he ducked Earl Spence when Earl Spence became his mandatory with the WBC. He ducked him and he went into retirement. So let's not forget that as well, too.
He ducked the fuck out of it. He said, well, Floyd ain't fight Keith Thurman. You ain't Floyd at the same. Floyd was dead there, undisputed. He just needed one last belt. Yep. He retired. You was the journeyman with one belt. There was no reason for you not to fight nobody else, man.
I'm gonna put an indictment out on boxing channels. I'm putting an indictment out on people in general that cover the sport of boxing, if you're not saying that Earl Spence is definitively going to beat Terrence Crawford, your boxing knowledge is questionable. It's fucking questionable. That you really are showcasing how limited your boxing knowledge is. This is not a 50-50 fight. And the fact that Terrence Crawford keeps showing reluctance after reluctance after reluctance after reluctance is, if you can't put two and two together to see that there's something wrong in this scenario here and it has nothing to do with Earl Spence, then y'all got problems. Because how come one guy is not saying nothing? How come one guy has signed a contract? How come one guy is staying very quiet, but another guy is the one that's doing his chihuahua barking the whole damn time? But no one has anything to say. Could you imagine? And I want the shoe to be on the other foot. Could you imagine if Earl Spence had all of these back and forth? Do you know the field day people would have had on him?
Big field day.
You see the
Big field
double
day.
standards?
But you gotta understand one thing: when you are bought and approved, when you are bought and paid for, then the expectation on you is less. You know why the expectation was so high on Kobe Bryant? So the expectation is so high on Kanye West and the media. He can't say anything that could be. Mind you, they'll never give you a whole video. They'll never give you a whole interview with Kanye. They always chop it up into bits and pieces to make it seem like it's saying something that it's not. You know why it's so high for them and so low for a LeBron, so low for a Charles Barkley, so low for a Terrence Crawford? Because those Negroes are bought and paid for, man. So since they're doing things like a good old boy, they get away with good old boy shit. Like a good boy that they are, they got you know what I'm saying? They get away with they get away with more shit. LeBron James has caught a little slack, but the slack that he caught in his career is because it was true. He was choking. He ain't get caught with no slack he wasn't supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't nothing about LeBron James they was talking about that was off kilter. It was like, yeah, you've been to the finals 10 times and barely won four.
To
And you got
LeBron's defense, and I don't make no defense for LeBron, but to LeBron's defense, at least he showed up to those finals. At least he didn't make no, well, my family can't get to the events excuses. At least he didn't come up with, well, I'm only getting 35% net. He actually showed up. He
oh
lost.
yeah, because he don't got no choice. See, in the NBA, they have a CBA agreement. Once they sign that agreement, that shit is in place until they have the next CBA agreement. Means they must go to all the games and compete. But in the boxing, there is no agreement and there is no association over boxing over boxing like that controls these fighters and make them do shit. Every now and then they make them fight. They'll make them fight a mandatory fight, but every now and then they'll make them fight a a unification bout. They don't be making these guys fight. It be political.
But
When
didn't
it comes,
Terrence Crawford say he wanted Earl Spence? Didn't, when he made his noise coming into 147, didn't he say, I
yeah,
want the best
exactly.
fighters? Didn't Terrence Crawford say that Earl Spence was ducking him, that he wants Earl Spence? I mean, he's been saying this for years. And
Saying
now
this
the
for
fight has come into fruition. Why is he acting the way that he's acting?
scared as fuck. Gotta think about it, man. Um, LeBron James has done his fair share of choking too. Now, don't ever think that LeBron James, if he wanted to, couldn't put the team on his back and beat. He could at least beat Orlando, but he knew, man, if I beat Orlando and play against this Kobe, it's over with. He ducked. He ducked Kobe, man. He knew. He's like, bro, I can't beat this nigga in the finals. So let me go ahead. My fan base will make an excuse for me. I'm gonna go ahead and bow out to Orlando. They gonna say I need more help. They ain't gonna say the obvious that I just lost. They gonna say I need more help. That way I ain't gotta fight Kobe. I ain't gotta go against Kobe. He ducked. So LeBron James, every time LeBron James pass up a game winning shot where he in the lane to a nigga that's gotta shoot a three, you already in the lane, take the shot, nigga. He, LeBron James be ducking all the time. He the slicker. He the slicker. Everybody know you take the high percentage shot. You don't.
So
You know,
basically, what you're saying is LeBron James, Canelo Alvarez, and Terrence Crawford are not
same
what people
person.
think that they are.
They the
They're
same
basically the
motherfucker.
same person.
They the same motherfucker, man.
Do
They
you
they
think? Do you think that the reason why fight fans are not holding Terrence Crawford accountable, they're basically stalling with Terrence Crawford because they know he's the last of the Mohicans. Because let's be honest, Manny Pacquiao got exposed, right? Canelo Alvarez got exposed. What happens to these fight fans when Terrence Crawford gets exposed?
it's not even. That sounds poetic, and I wish it was that deep to give them respect. But I can't even respect them to think that they even think that deep. It's simply the reason why they're not holding Terrence Bud Crawford accountable because white media has not told them to. That's just how simple most black motherfuckers is. If ESPN say, you know what, Terrence Crawford is ducking, then the narrative on YouTube overnight, you'll start seeing video. Terrence Crawford is ducking. Terrence Crawford, like it would be like all of a sudden, knowledge and wisdom is raining upon motherfuckers that they can see was blatantly obvious true to everybody else. But they need white folks to say it, man. Black motherfuckers, the majority of us need white people to say something before we can say it's official.
So, are you saying that we're still under slavery mentally?
Mentally, we still take our cues from everything white folks do. You could
Wow.
be talking about black on black crime in a black community. A motherfucker would get on here and say white people kill each other too. What the fuck do they gotta do with the black community?
Yep.
Let them kill themselves, man. That's what they want to do. They ain't got shit to do with us. Why you validate? Whenever you validate what you do based on somebody else, those people control you.
Hmm. That's true.
So you mean tell me if they came out and came against what you was doing, then you'll consider it was wrong? But as long as they doing it, you feel like you could do it too?
So, what's your final assessment on this whole Terrence Crawford situation? So, do you feel that this fight doesn't materialize? What is going to be like if you can put it in one word or two words? What would your one word or two words be?
If this fight don't materialize, Terrence Crawford's career is over. Errol Spence's career go on. In the interim, they're gonna blame it all on Terrence. They're gonna blame it all on Errol Spence, like they do blame everything all on Floyd. But in the longevity, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when everybody's speaking on this, it's gonna go down as Terrence Crawford duck.
That's
That's
true.
what that's what it's gonna go down as in the long term. But in the interim, in the first couple of 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it's gonna be on Errol Spence because the people who have backed Terrence Crawford for so long have been either a part of the major media or who have taken their cues from major media. And how major media work is they never go back on what they say, they just double down. So like say for instance with Lamar Jackson, the reason why they won't just come out and be like all of them at the same time, be like, man, we were wrong, is
Mhm.
because that's not how the media works. They double
Unless,
they
unless the unapologetic dude forces their hands. Because I remember the year when Kobe made the shot on Grant Hill, he forced the media's hand. Because guys that was saying LeBron was the best when Kobe made that impossible shot on Grant Hill, guys like Charles Barkley had to come out and be like, "Man, you know what? LeBron ain't better than Kobe." Sometimes an unapologetic motherfucker will force your fucking hand so bad
but
to where
but
you
but
gotta
we have
admit,
but we got to give that credit to who it's due, because we all know Charles Barkley is one of the biggest coons of all time. The credit comes from actually Mark Jackson that was saying all year, "Mama, there goes that man, hands down, man down." And when Kobe Bryant, if Kobe Bryant is done, he gonna be better than Jordan.
yep,
Mark Jackson was saying that when everybody was calling him crazy. So
yep,
he took all the brunts and the bruises for Charles Barkley to say the obvious.
yep,
Kobe being better than LeBron James was the obvious.
yep,
That wasn't. Come on, man. I'm getting to the finals in your era. You got the number one team in the East Coast in the weekend conference, and you can't
yeah,
get there.
yep.
You playing against weekend competition. You see
Yep,
what I
because
did in your conference.
2008 to 2010 was supposed to be LeBron's era, and Kobe hitting the finals every
Kobe,
year.
Kobe living in the finals in your era. basically saying this is your era, but unofficially I'm the people's champ. This is my shit.
Yep.
Only the smoke and mirror people believe this is your era. When it's said and done, it's going to be written in stone. Kobe Bryant was here. 08, 09, 010.
So what you basically saying is Earl Spence is Kobe Bryant and Terrence Crawford is LeBron James?
That could be perceived that way for sure.
Or Terrence Crawford's not nice enough to even be LeBron James?
And accolades, I guess you could say that. I guess you could say it because he got championships, like LeBron James got championships, but they are questionable. So they say so they the same. They're equal. They equal.
Gotcha.
They both got rings. They both got chips. They both got championships. But there's like asterisks next to them bitches, man. When you really look into them, it's like, come on, man. We don't get that well. LeBron James don't win no championship without D Wade and Bosh. He was struggling with them motherfuckers. How you gonna win without them?
So let's switch gears because Kanye West, and I don't want to touch on the Kanye West and LeBron because from my understanding, I looked at the mission statement and the visionary aspect of the shop. The goal with the shop was to be a controversial show to where they talk about topics and they push buttons that normally don't get pushed in main media. And
Right.
they're on a platform on HBO, which really HBO just shows you everything in the kitchen sink. I mean, let's be honest. What premium network shows you all kinds of shit more than HBO? So my question is, are they really following the mission statement and the vision, but not allowing Kanye West's episode to materialize? Because they pulled it based on what he said. They pulled it based on the controversial comments that they felt was controversial. I mean, a lot of times when people tell the truth, and people have to understand that there's a difference between the truth and there's a difference between controversy. Everything's not fucking controversy. Controversy is when it actually is controversy. A lot of times people mistake the difference between the truth and controversy. A lot of times things are just truth and people say there's controversy behind it because people are not normalized or they're not used to that version of the truth.
Right. Can I interject real quick?
So I want your take. I want your take on that.
The truth is controversial to the media because the media don't want the truth out. The truth upsets the media narrative. So anything that upsets the narrative is controversial. Anything. And it's people need to realize that it's the people in power who stand more from a narrative and for a lie to be the truth. Think about it, man. We all been to school. We all had that one good teacher. We all had that one bad teacher who, because they didn't like you, created a narrative and is totally exaggerated shit to your parents or to other teachers about you. Grown up. So imagine a whole conglomerate of people who a whole oligarchy is a word. A whole oligarchy of people at the top that share a common interest. What's stopping them from control from creating narratives out the thin sky to control how people think about you and your people?
Mm-hmm.
What's stopping them? Why would they not do that to keep control? It's mind-boggling how people think that's so far-fetched because they don't understand power. Power, people who have power don't live by the same rules you live by. You might think that's far fetched. People with power, that's a natural day of life for them to get up and spread a narrative about another motherfucker to keep control over their domain. That's how they live. And we need to get more in tune and more acclimated to how people gain power in America, how Europeans gain the control. It's never been through the truth, it's been through deception.
Facts.
Never. So why are people so surprised when a rapper or a ball player, when they say, you know what, this is a false narrative? If you just look at the facts, you'll see that I know I'm a fucked up person, but I didn't do this. Why are people so surprised every time this shit keep happening? Why are they so like, nah, it's just them. At some point, don't you understand cycles and how cycles go? When all of a sudden a guy who's supposed to be under the power of a certain white oligarchy goes against the system, all of a sudden the next week is all type of shit about them
because
in the news.
the media knows they're dealing with simpletons, and if they keep force feeding continuously over and over and over and over again the same nonsense that what this person is doing is bad, they know eventually that person's subconscious mind is going to receive it as bad. So once they receive it as bad, then they're now going to start spewing and saying, yeah, what this person is saying is bad. And a lot of times it's not because they did their own research or their own investigative, you know, work to figure out if it's bad or not. It's because they're just going off of what the media said. If you listen to a lot of people and you listen to a lot of people's comments and you really start questioning them, you realize they're just regurgitating what was already said to them or what they already
That's
watched.
it. That's all the hell they doing. All the hell they doing is saying the white media approved narrative and regurgitate it back to you as if they came up as if they clever and shit. Like they that clever. They came up with that. Like, bro, like listen, I know exactly who you got that from. I was listening to nigga. You know what
It's
I'm
just
saying?
like last week. It's just like last week when we was dealing with that Bud Man fan that kept saying Bud is a better boxer, and you kept grilling them. That's how you deal with people. You got to keep the foot on their necks. Keep the foot on the necks. When you apply it at the right time, you apply it strategically. It is flawless, man. And you
Right.
gave him flawless victory with it. It's like, why? Kept asking the big question. Why is Bud the better boxer?
Right. Validate that.
And he couldn't say nothing but give continual opinions.
Substantiate that. I mean, if you got an opinion, like back your opinion up with some type of lot rationale. It was
Because in
nothing but
boxing, we know if you're going to be able to justify that, there has to be fights that can justify that.
right. It was nothing for him to justify. He was just talking. You know what I'm saying? The same reason how people kill me with this shit. It was like, yeah, originally, um, I didn't I just didn't like the white lives matter take on his angle while he was doing shit. But at the same time, I had to sit down and had to tell myself, like, you know what? After the initial reaction, I had to say, you know what? You not being you not being fair because when I dropped Black Lives Don't Matter, I had a problem with people not understanding what I was trying to say when I was saying Black Lives Don't Matter. It's people were like, "How can you say Black Lives?" But I was trying to say something bigger, and they just wasn't getting it. And I did the same thing with this motherfucker. I believe you're trying to say something bigger, and I just wasn't getting it. But it all dawned on me when I watched the whole interview that he did on Fox. When I watched the whole interview that he did on Fox, I said, you know what? This motherfucker just created a lightning rod for the shit he really wanted to say. And the shit that he really wanted to say ain't bad. What they doing is anything is bad without the context, right? I guarantee you, if somebody want to go hard enough, they could go and they could search this live and find something I said and just take the 3-second soundbite of that and make whatever narrative they want out of it. You know what I'm saying? If somebody could chop on anything you say, people do this in arguments you have. You might say something, and because they can't win the argument, they will find that one thing they could twist into something else and make a whole new argument. It's called straw man argument. They make a whole new argument because they're losing the debate. And that's what they did here with this dude right here. Is now they made it. They dismissed everything he said. They latched on to the one thing that they could twist.
Mm-hmm.
Anti anti anti-Semitism. When really, if you
Anti-Semitism.
right, well, really, when you're black, you and you're from Shem, you can't be anti-Semitic. Well, you could, but it wouldn't be talking about people who are not. Anti-Semitism would be like Uncle Tom's,
Mm-hmm.
because they'll be against their own people. It'll be black people hating on black people, not black people hating on other races and shit. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So they did that so you could not watch it, because just what people do. when something goes viral, they don't watch the source. They watch the narrative of the viral shit,
Facts.
right? So they won't go back and say, "Oh, this clip came from what interview?" All right, let me go sit down and watch that whole interview. Now they'll just stay with that one clip that got them fired up and not do any investigation. And if it comes out that maybe they jumped the gun, they'll never admit it.
Or they'll hear one thing that they always felt about the person. You know, people when they have a bias over someone, right? And they see someone in a certain light, they just need that it's like a lightning. It's that lightning rod. They need that all spark. They need that spark to spark the ignition.
Yep.
And once they hear exactly what they wanted to hear, yeah, you see, I told you, man, he was like that. Da 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 da. You know, I knew he was like that. And then that's what they do. And that's what the media was doing. They were using that as a springboard to get those types of individuals to say what they were going to say. And in Kanye's position, he already knows that he has to deal with people that are like that. So in this situation, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But as long as people talk about it, that's all that matters. Because when you realize, when you have a platform or you realize as an individual in general, people are going to always have their ideologies on what direction they think you should go when
Right.
the reason why they were even dealing with you in the first place is because you were the way that you were originally, right? But as they continue on, then they start telling you this is the direction you should go, this is how they feel that you should move, etc., etc. But that's not why they liked you in the first place. They liked you in the first place because of the way that you were, right?
Right.
And this is the problem with you have with a lot of individuals. They get into this mindset where they feel that they have to infect because they have their standard of ideologies and their standards of bias and thoughts. They want to put that on you. But in their ideologies and their biases and their thoughts, you realize their ideologies, biases, and thoughts are not really their own ideologies, biases, and thoughts. It's someone else's ideologies, bias, and thoughts that they're using as a springboard to make it seem like it's theirs.
Right.
And you're not going to know that until you keep questioning the person, you keep asking them questions. If you ask the person a question the same time 3 different times, you're going to get the results that you need. As a matter of fact, anything that you do in life, it takes 21 days for you to do it consistently for it to become a habit. I don't care what it is. Working
Yep.
out, doing YouTube videos, working on your business, going to work, being the best employee that you can possibly be. Anything that you do, if you want to do it at a high level and you want to be consistent at it, this is free game I'm giving to anybody else. You need to do it for 21 days straight. After you do it 21 days straight, it becomes a habit at that point. Anything less than that is not a habit.
Yep.
So most people, they already have a short attention span. So most people won't do things for 21 days straight. Most people will do things for one day, then they'll go off and then they'll go into something else, or their minds will go this way, or their minds will go that way, or their minds will just shift in so many different directions, right? And when their minds are doing all of this shifting in directions, they're not stable. So there's not a fine ground. There's not a fine ground or a solid foundation. And then they want to tell the person who has a solid foundation who they are as an individual. I don't agree with everything that Kanye West does. I don't agree with a lot of things, actually. But one thing that I agree with him as a person is he's solidly rooted and founded upon who he is as an individual. And I could respect that.
Right.
And it's hard for most people, let alone most people you deal with on a day-to-day basis, to be rooted and have a solid foundation. Most people, if you go decipher through their lives, you won't find not even one thing that they can do for 21 days straight. Meaning there's
They have
not
never
even
done.
one thing that they have a habit of doing that's consistent in
They
their
have
life.
never done anything for 21 days straight. Not. They have never
Exactly.
done anything of value for 21 days straight. Let's get that straight. Because
But the
doing
reason why
something.
I'm saying that, Ross, is because
Right.
those people are the people who are thinking in their minds they're qualified to talk about someone who has done something for more than 21 days straight and they're consistent at what they do. So how can you be qualified to talk on someone who's been consistent at doing something when you in your own life, you're not even consistent at what you're doing. Isn't that an oxymoron? Isn't that a contradiction? Isn't that hypocrisy? But this is the world we live in today. Unqualified people talking against people that are qualified in what they do.
Well, the problem is the way they set it up, the powers that be set it up. They set it up for you to like somebody so much that you begin to hate them and you begin to obsess over them. Now, when you obsess over something, you could like it so much that you start hating it. Like when you think about all these serial killers, they be killing bitches who remind them of their mothers or a girlfriend who left them or something. An obsession to the point of danger and wanton violence. A lot of races actually adore and look up to black people and they hate themselves for it, which makes them racist. You know what I'm saying? So these motherfuckers, so they put these stars and these celebrities in a position that they're obsessed over it. Well, what do you want to do when you're obsessed? You want to control it. You want to control how it looks. You want to control what it says. You want to control the opinions that it has. You want them to think how you think. You want them to move how you will move politically. The problem is we loved Kanye when Kanye said the white man can't control me. Now, as a people, Kanye's saying, you know what? Black people can't control me neither. I'm gonna do what I want. We as a people, we don't like that. We feel like if you're a black person, then you must live for all of us. And if we don't like Trump, all of us nowhere, then you're not supposed to like Trump. Nobody's seeing how the media dictated who liked Trump. Because before Trump ran for office, what rapper was talking about Trump in a negative way? None. Before Trump ran for office, rappers were having Trump in their videos. They was dapping Trump up at the parties, all that shit until he ran for office. Then all of a sudden, everybody hated Trump all of a sudden. That was media contrived. Out of the billionaires, Trump's name is used the most in raps. More than Bill Gates, more than all them niggas. Trump's name was the most used name from all the billionaires. Niggas love Trump until he started running for office. So it's all media contrived. And as a black community, we say we don't like Trump no more. That means you can't like Trump no more. And that's where we be having people fucked up. We don't own them. We don't hardly even support them. But we want to dictate to them their political beliefs. And the average person that you ask, the average person that you ask, not black, white, green, or yellow, or fucking red, why you vote for a person is never a rational response. It's always some emotional shit. Man, I just like that guy, blase, blase. I don't know what it is, man. Or it's always, well, I hate the other guy. It's always an emotion. It's never no rationale. So this is from Trump supporters and Biden supporters. I ain't heard one black motherfucker yet tell me a rational reason why he voted for Joe Biden. Not one. It's always
because most people don't have the 21-day endurance. And there's a reason why I say 21 days, because 21 days is scriptural. Because 21 days is quoted in the book of Daniel from Daniel 10 verses 13 through 21. When Daniel dealt with 21 days of oppression, he had to fast for 21 days, and he was getting demonic oppression from the prince of Persia, which really was like the demon over Persia. And the archangel Michael had to come in and basically, do what he did to basically overwhelm. But I'm going to read the scriptures and then I'm going to explain why I say 21 days. Because in 13 it says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, which is 21 days. Below, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Look at the key word. He remained there. See, a lot of times when people are going through a habit in life that they're trying to basically come about, like for instance, when people go through their New Year's resolution, I want to lose weight, or they say I want to get this change in my life, or I want to lose this toxic person out of my life. Like, I ain't dealing with this nigga no more. I ain't dealing with this woman no more. They need that 21 days to build that habit up to lose it. And if they don't have that 21 days to build that habit up, they are not, if they don't make it to the 21 day, believe it or not, that habit is still going to find them. So in 14 says, now I come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the later days. For yet the vision is for many days. And when it has spoken such words unto me, I set my face towards the ground and I became dumb. But why did he become dumb? He became dumb because he realized that he didn't have the answer. So at this point, I need to just keep my mind fixated upon, you know what? I'm going to have to go through these 21 days if I'm going to make it. This was a point in time where Daniel's a guy that has all wisdom, all knowledge, all understanding. But in this moment, it ain't about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's about breaking this stronghold. And that's the reason why this is all relative, is because a lot of people in life, their thought process, their ideology, and the way they see things, the reason why they cannot see past what they see is because they're not willing to go through the 21 days of building a habit that's going to be stronger than what they see in front of them. Right. So in 16 to 21, I'm going to read it real quick. It says, and behold, the one like the similitude of the sons of men, angel touched my lips, and then I opened my mouth and spake and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as me straightway there remain no strength in me, neither is there no breath left in me. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. And I will shew thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth. And there is none that holdeth me in these things, but Michael your prince. So Daniel, through those scriptures, wouldn't have gained the strength and the endurance to surpass that moment if he didn't just say, you know what, let me keep my head down and let me go through this. And that's the problem with most people. They don't know how to just keep their heads down and go through situations. And if we're interwoven in it with Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence, most people have a Terrence Crawford mindset. They won't go 21 days of endurance and say, okay, well, why is Terrence Crawford making the moves that he's making? Why is he acting the way that he's acting? They won't think past that. They won't even think past a day to see that something is off with this guy. Something is off with his personality. They won't see in the 21 days of endurance that, okay, LeBron James is not what we thought he was. He is a fake woke individual. He is not this guy that is a boss. He's actually a puppet. Because if there was any time for him to showcase that he could really challenge the media with the supposed power that he has, it would have been right here on the shop with this episode with Kanye West. He would have let Kanye West basically say everything that he said on wax. If anything, this would have gone viral for LeBron James, because now people would have been like, whoa, LeBron James, we didn't know that there was this side to you.
LeBron would rather be safe than right. Everything about LeBron, Canelo, Bud Crawford are the same people. It's about safety. They can't take no criticism. Think about every time they've been criticized, they have crumbled. No criticism. They never want to be in a position where they could ever look bad. So they always passing the buck. Passive. That's what this nigga is about. LeBron James would rather the truth be stifled than for him to upset white folks. For him to possibly burn a bridge. He'd rather the truth be stifled. But the truth don't return void. It's already out there.
It always accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish, because it's never going to come back with an empty response. But here's the thing. The reason why I'm saying all of this is it's a challenge to everyone that's listening. Because, you got shadow people that come in and out. They listen too. People that are not subscribed to the channel. Ross gets this a lot. I get most people that are not subscribed that keep tuning in. So listen, Challenge what you think conventionally, but go 21 days and challenge that. Every day, challenge that thought for 21 days. Say, why am I thinking the way that I'm thinking about Terrence Crawford? 21 days. Keep asking yourself that question. I guarantee you by day 22, you're going to have a different outlook. Same thing with LeBron James. Challenge every day for 21 days. Why did he not allow Kanye West on that show? You got to ask yourself that question every day for 21 days. Day 22, the answer is going to come to you, the light bulb. 21 days. Ask yourself, why did the DAZN need Floyd Mayweather to be on pay-per-view? Why did they belly up and become pay-per-view instead of an app? Ask yourself that question for 21 days straight. By day 22, you guys are going to thank me, because day 22, an answer is going to come, because now you've developed a habit. And now, because you've asked yourself these questions, guess what? There has to be an answer that corresponds with that. And the answer that is going to get is going to be a lightning rod, because it's going to be completely different and diametrically opposed to what you originally thought the answer was going to be. This is where change comes into play. You want to change anything in your life. You want to change your mindset. I do this with myself all the time, because when you think you've reached a certain level and you think you're stagnant, that's when you never grow. I'm always looking to ever evolve. So I go through 21-day moments. That's why it's called the 21-day Daniel fast. You got to do this, man. 21 days. You ask yourself the question. It's hard. It's not easy. And I'm as strong-minded as they come. Ross will tell you, I'm probably one of the strongest-minded people on the fucking planet. But I do this with myself. And when I do this, sometimes it makes me even vulnerable. And I ask myself, I look myself in the mirror and I ask myself a question that I'm not comfortable with asking myself for 21 days. By day 22, I come up with a different response. And it shocks the shit out of me that I didn't even realize that, damn, I could even see it this way. Y'all need to start doing that. For 21 days, ask yourself, why is Terrence Crawford making all of these excuses like Tom Ross so eloquently said? Ask yourself that question for 21 days straight. By day 22, you know what you're going to come to the conclusion of? Terrence Crawford is ducking Earl Spence. For 21 days, ask yourself, why did LeBron James not allow Kanye West to be a part of the shop, but he let Draymond Green be a part of it? Just look at the people he let be a part of it. People that people apologize for. He let Drake be a part of it, but he didn't let Kanye West. And then even when he had Jay-Z part of it, he pulled some of what Jay-Z said that was controversial on the DMX. You had to go into the X-rated version to catch those. Oh, yeah, that happened too. So you got to ask yourself those questions. When you start asking yourself those questions, it's gonna be why did DAZN have to give Floyd Mayweather, an exhibition boxer, to do an exhibition event in November? For 21 days, ask yourself that question. And you know what's going to happen? Because it's going to be right before November 13th. You're going to realize, oh, DAZN is a publicly traded company. So they have quarters. See, this is the thing. And I'm giving you guys a little business lesson here. They have quarterly reports that they have to do. And in their quarterly reports, they have to report positive earnings. Businesses that trade like this, they always want to report a positive earning. If they go into yellow, amber, or they go into red, they're fucked. And they need a positive fourth quarter. So in order for them to have a positive fourth quarter, you get Floyd in there. That's your positive fourth quarter right there. That puts you in the green. Because let's be honest, outside of Floyd Mayweather fighting this Deji guy for the DAZN pay-per-view, what else has the DAZN done this year to substantiate that they've had positive quarters? Don't tell me Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields, women boxing is good, it's nice, it's starting to pick up steam, but it ain't where it needs to be at yet.
Right. It can't hold down no app by itself.
It can't hold down no app.
Right.
So that's why they needed to enlist Floyd Mayweather services. Ask yourself this question for 21 days, and you're going to come up with your answers for 22 days. Now, then by day 22, you're going to start questioning all of these status quo people. You're going to be like, man, y'all just talking shit for the sake of talking shit. What y'all saying is not making any sense.
The problem is with people, we have to realize titles mean nothing. Stop accepting somebody's opinion as fact because of their title. Nobody is above approach, man. Nobody is above being corrected. Everything's within the parameters of being questioned. Everything. I don't believe shit nobody telling me until I see proof. Nothing. It's just a good theory until I see proof. It's something to think about. It's interesting. I hear you out. Okay, I'm not closed minded, but I don't believe a damn thing until I see the proof. Not from no human, because humans make mistakes, man. Humans make mistakes,
Facts.
and I'll be damned. I could live with my mistakes. I can't live with nobody else's. So I don't believe shit nobody say until they show me proof to substantiate what they're saying. With that being said, a lot of these sportcasters be full of shit narratives. The narratives be pre-written. A lot of these narratives be full of shit. And y'all just be repeating them. Don't even think and say, do this even make sense? How one guy who whooped everybody and and hurting people and putting niggas in the hospitals, how is he ducking somebody who's struggling to fight the marginal people at the weight class? How does that make sense? One guy barely beats the marginal fighters. The other guy got all the belts. So how is he ducking the guy who is marginal at best?
One guy's putting people in the hospital. The other guy, after he fights people, they're right there fighting people like nothing happened.
Right. Basically, they're right there fighting the people who the other guy already put in the hospital. Like, man, this shit is not hard to break down, but you have to fight against that unction to believe everything you told because it has a white source. And me personally, you'll be better off rejecting what's in the media and making them prove to you that they're right. Rejecting it outright. A big narrative, reject it outright and make them prove to you that they're right.
Yep. And that's why God put on my spirit to tell people you need the 21 days to fast. You need 21 days to fast in your mind from what you've been taking in because you took in that crap for so long. You need 21 days to question it. And I'm serious. You guys are gonna thank me, man. 21 days, ask yourself the opposite question of what you normally ask yourself. 21 days straight. By day 22, when that answer finds you, you're gonna be so happy because you're gonna be like, because the thing is, all of us, and Ross is right when he says, don't put no trust in man. I mean, the Bible says that, put no trust in man but God, right? You don't trust, everybody always has two things going on in their minds. Regardless of what it is that they're doing, everybody's always asking the other question. The problem is, people make the other question dormant because they don't want to live with the other side of the question. So they live with the side that they're comfortable with. Yeah. And in a lot of people's minds, when it comes to Spence and Crawford, they're comfortable with the fact that they think Crawford can compete with Spence. So they just stay with that. But there's that underbelly question that they know in their mind, but damn, I ain't gonna lie, man. Spence that dude is big. What if he does punish Terrence Crawford? Believe it or not, these Bud Man fans are thinking these things. Mm-hmm. And you know how you could tell they're thinking it? Because they've alluded to things like saying, well, they probably need to get Spence tested because, he might be on steroids. When people start talking that way, it's because they're thinking the other side too.
Right. Especially when they start talking that way when there's no proof. Mind you, these are the same people that will say, Tyson Fury won fair and square, man. Like, Tyson Fury ain't no dirty fighter. Yeah, he popped a couple of times, but, man, Tyson Fury's skilled. These same motherfuckers who won't question somebody who should be questioned, who has a history of cheating and a history of doping, would then turn around and say somebody who don't have a history of doping could be doping. You can't make this shit up, man.
The thing is, with the Tyson Fury and the Deontay Wilder fight, Tyson Fury has not won none of those fights fair and square. My problem with Deontay Wilder is how you allow yourself to be duped.
Be duped in that situation.
Exactly. and be finessed. Tyson Fury finessed Deontay Wilder and got famous off of the Deontay Wilder fights. He finessed them. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, he finessed them.
He finessed him, yeah, to the fullest. The thing about it is this: with Deontay Wilder and a lot of not, I always tell myself it's three motherfuckers type of motherfuckers you get from down south. You get some straight buck dancing Uncle Toms. You get some niggas that's straight ignorant and street, and you get some niggas that's straight about their people and straight like this solid niggas. Like basically, I'm about my people and about what makes sense, and I'm about not making no excuses, and I'm about not blaming other motherfuckers for your downfalls, but still I know what's going on around me. You got those type of niggas. What you got with Deontay Wilder is one of them niggas who want people to get along so much and want to be accepted so bad that he forget that he actually got enemies in this world. He talk about it. He talk the black people been suffering this and the third, but in this business world, he don't trust black people himself. The black people been suffering, man. This boxing world is against black. But he say all that, but when it come down to his business, he don't trust him. What I mean by that? Yeah, he had Al Heyman, but he still has Shelly Finkel. He supposed to be handling his own affairs, but Al Heyman and in Florida, if you want to let Floyd in, but this Al Heyman, why you got Shelly Finkel in the mix?
Because we've been conditioned as a people that in order for something to seem legit or legitimate, it has to have a white face behind it. We can't have a black face behind it. We're so polarizing against our own people, and we're so polarizing against, this person's going to steal from me. This person's going to thieve from me. This person's going to rob from me. This person's going to cheat from me. And those elements do actually go on, but it's not something that you're supposed to continuously put in the back of your mind, that because it's going on and because people are brainwashing you for it to go on. And this is why I'm telling people they need to go through a 21-day fast in their minds of how they conventionally think, look at things differently. Then that doesn't mean that you need to justify that as your way of saying, well, this is what I know, so this is what I'm going to go with. And you see that through black boxing community fan bases or black boxing channels. They have to feel that in order for them to be relevant and cross the lines, they have to talk good about other boxers of other races. Fuck that shit. You already have people of their own race that talk good about boxing fans of their own race, and they don't apologize for that. And they're not sitting here talking up good about black boxers. They're basically treating these black boxers like they're niggers. Not nigga, niggers. ERS. They treat them like that. But you sitting here and you feel like, well, talking about just my black fighters is beneath me. I have to talk about, no, fuck that shit. I don't care about Mexican fighters. I don't care about European fighters. I make that very known. I care about fighters that look like me. And if fighters that look like me is fighting these other fighters, I'm going to expose them. Now, it's not to say that I'm not going to say that if a fighter from another ethnicity is better than a black fighter, I'm not going to acknowledge that. No, I will acknowledge that. But I'm not going to sit there and favor them over the person that I can favor on this side of the equation. No, because Mexican fans don't do that shit. European fans don't do that shit. So why are they forcing us to do that shit? Why we got to be in a box to do that shit?
Because, man, this is what a lot of black people don't understand this. I forget the number of the scripture, but it's in Psalms, and it's David speaking to God, and he says, "The enemies of thy people are confederate. They are confederate against us." And then he started naming off all these races who are still in our community that still uses as merchandise. He started naming off Hamites, Africans, Ishmaelites, Arabs, all these races. The so-called, put it this way, I'm not gonna get this live demonetized or nothing, But the so-called, who's all they start naming off all these different races, even the Chinese men, all these people we see been around. They were just going by different names back then. You start naming all these races, and when you go in the black community, who do you see that's in charge of everything? It's not us. It's
Psalm
still
83, 3 through 5.
right. It's still these same races. So what we need to understand is every race depends on us to be kumbaya. Because as long as we kumbaya and trying to get their validation, they can control us. Because that means we won't be focused on our own people. We'll be focused on their people, on their walks of life, and this, that, and the third. That's the reason why they want us to always be reaching out to everyone else and not focusing on our own people. Whenever Notice this: whenever there's a black man that's solely focused on his own people, they make him seem like he's the one that's racist.
And it's interesting you said that because a lot of black people, they don't even understand their own identity. Our black history is not what's in the history books. Our black history is the Bible. That's why you see a lot of black people when they dissuade themselves from reading the Bible, or they say, well, the Bible is, the white man's the Bible is this and that. You're there. It's been put in your mind subconsciously to stay away from that book because they want to separate you from your genealogical pool line, your
Right.
spiritual pool line. They want to separate you from what you are. If you want to know your black history as a black person, the Bible is the black man's history. That's how it works. It's the black woman's history.
It's just funny how people will say you can't read that because the white man wrote that, and the whole time they'll have the 50 laws of power in their hand, or they'll have some book written by some white man in their hand, telling you
All of these books are
right,
all cheap manufactured remakes of the Bible, and you could tell they stole the information from. Heck, Spider-Man stole the terminology with great power comes great responsibility from Jesus Christ. Stole it
right,
and just remixed it in his own version.
right. People need to understand that, like, man, there's there's a reason why you so comfortable reading any other book. But as soon as somebody says something about the Bible, you say the white man wrote that. Like the white man didn't write majority of the books you read. These niggas just be saying anything because you gotta understand, man. Once they acknowledge something as the truth, they know that there's a responsibility that comes behind it. That's a responsibility that they don't want to live with. So they choose to live in a delusional life. There's
Yep.
no responsibility in delusion.
Yep.
Because
So
you can always
when I realized the scriptures tell me as a black man, it's good for me to grow my hair out. It's good for me to keep my facial hair because that's where the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding as true Hebrew Israelites come. The more hair you have on your body, the more wisdom that comes with that. Because if you look at the Hebrew Israelites tracing back, now unless you have male pattern baldness and you can't help it, I mean the Apostle Paul was bald, so he couldn't keep hair on his head. So unless you have male pattern baldness and you can't keep hair on your head, because it happens to some of our Hebrew Israelites, unfortunately, unless you have that, you should be growing the hair on your head. Because the more hair you have on your head, the more of God's wisdom that's going to find you. And if you look at the pattern of the history of our people, they've always kept beards on their face. That's why they always made that a bad thing when you see black men always have facial hair. Why they always have facial hair on their face? Why they don't shave their face? Why it's in our bloodline to be that way. It's tradition for us to be like that. Like that's just what it is. Or it's unkept. So what if it's unkept to you? It's supposed to be the way that we're meant to be, because that's how we find ourselves. If you notice Samson, he lost his strength when what happened? When the hair was cut. If his hair was still on his head, he would still have all of his strength. That's where his strength was.
right.
It
But
was in the hair.
what people don't realize is when they say that they cut his hair, what they saying really is that not only did they just cut, they shaved him bald. They cut all his hair off, which is something you're not supposed to do by our standards, by our command. We're not supposed to shave all our hair off our beard or off our head. You know what I'm saying? They shaved him. They shaved him off because we're connected through our hair. You know what I'm saying? Whether you grow dreads or what, you don't necessarily gotta grow your hair, grow your hair to be dreads. They say you're not supposed to shave your head completely to the scalp. But some people grow dreads, but those dreads are not fashion. When you're growing dreads, you're making a Nazarene vow. That's something altogether different. You know what I'm saying? That's what people don't understand. Like people think, oh man, I'm growing these dreads. I finna get connected to the Most High. Blah blah blah. Like no man, that's a Nazarene vow. The reason why Samson lost all that power because he broke a vow. The hair was more than just the hair. It was a vow that he broke. So he lost his power. You know what I'm saying? So people need to understand that. Like before you start making before you do things, know if they're a promise or oath you making to God before that's symbolized by what you're doing. You gotta know that because you're gonna be held to that. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of these cats. They done grown dreads, and they kill their own people. They done grown. They done partake in a Nazarene vow, and they're violating obvious, easy commandments, and they're not living very long.
And he was, like you said, he was a tribe of Dan, and he was a Nazarite. That's the same thing with John the Baptist. John the Baptist was a tribe of Levi, and he was a Nazarite. That's why John the Baptist operated the way he did, where his vow was to just keep himself in isolation. He was in constant isolation, secluded from people. His diet was strategically a certain way so that he can connect with God. Even in your diet, even with what you eat, even it because when you eat a certain way, it allows for your temple to stay holy enough to where you can connect. And this is the thing. You have a lot of people that are not practicing these spiritual principles, and that's where the media knows this, and that's where the masses know this, the people that are controlling. So they put you in a, what we say, stupefied state to where you can't really see what's going on.
Right.
And this is why we as a people, we need to get back to our natural state on how we do things, how we govern ourselves. Because once you get back to your natural state of sobriety and how you move and how you unction yourself, you are going to be enlightened. You're going to have what's called an enlightenment. But it's the enlightenment of God inside of you that's waking you up from the nonsense that's in the world and telling you, hey, what you see around you is not what you think that it is. There's something deeper than that. And that's the biggest thing in of itself. And that's why you have a situation with Terrence Crawford, and that's why you have a situation with LeBron James, and that's why you have the situation with Canelo Alvarez, where our own people, because they are trapped in their own bubble of stupefaction, they can't see the reality. So when you have someone like myself and someone like Ross that have been enlightened for years, that see the shit, and we're telling you it's like it doesn't register in a normal person's mind until years later. And then years later, listen, man, I'm not, there was a time in my life where I was like, I need my credit and all, man, I ain't with all that bullshit. I don't care if you guys come back so many years and tell me I was right. As a matter of fact, I'm tired of that. I want you guys to get to a place. That's why I gave you guys a free game on the 21-day fast. I want you guys to get to a place where you start seeing these things immediately. So you don't have to come back years later and tell me you was right. I don't care to be right. I just want y'all to get the shit. Because if y'all get it, we'll all be better off for it. If y'all go 21 days and fast the whole Terrence Crawford situation, you'll get Crawford is smoking mirrors. If you do the 21-day fast and realize while LeBron is scrapping Kanye West, you get it that LeBron is a glorified puppet. If you do the 21 days fast and realize why did the zone have to go and get Floyd Mayweather and enlist his services when they had Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua and they tank, you will realize that, oh, Canelo's not what we thought he was. But you gotta go and do that. It ain't for me to do that. I can lead you to the well, which I'm doing right now. I'm leading you to the well and giving you the free game. You gotta be the motherfucker to drink the damn water. It's that simple. And if you never drink the water, you will never see it for yourself. It's that simple.
That's the truth, man. This has been another one of them lives, man. It's been another one. It's been another one of them lives, man.
Another one, another legendary live in of his tank. Hopefully, whoever's listening in took the message, it registered, it processed, it dissected. You know, like that scripture, like the scripture said, for the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing the dividing asunder of the soul and spirit, and even the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. I'm hoping this message is like that. It pierces your DNA, it pierces your anatomy, it pierces your cellular structure, so that now you can basically take the weak cells, recycle them motherfuckers, make it strong, and then start thinking. Because this is what we want from you. This is what I want. I know this is what Ross wants.
Yeah.
We want you guys to start thinking for yourself. Become rational creatures that think logically, that think analytically, and think critically. Let me say it again. Logically, analytically, and critically. And that's what's lacking from our people. We got a lot of motherfuckers, they don't think deep.
They don't think at
They just
all.
think on the surface, and what they see on the surface, that's what it is. If you guys are not going the extra mile to think deep, you will never see the truth behind shit, man.
You'll see it. You'll always see it too late, right? Because you don't have that digging spirit. You don't have that spirit to, even if you react to something, you don't have the spirit to say, "I now let me sit back and see this and see if this is going the way I think it's going to go or if this is going left." And because you're not always going to be spot on, but at least you'll be thinking about it. And then when you're a logical thinker, even when you're not spot on, you'll have the mindset to know, okay, I was wrong about the direction, but I wasn't wrong about this. Like, okay, this is what this means. This is what it don't mean. But when you don't care to know, when you don't want to know, that people could direct you. When you don't have a direction, someone's going to give you a direction.
What Ross said was so powerful, man. But see, when you are logical, you're analytical, and you're a critical motherfucker, you'll come to the realization Spence will wash Terrence Crawford. You be definitive in that. You don't even question that shit. You be like, damn, this motherfucker gonna wash this motherfucker. You think analytically, logically, and critically, LeBron is a glorified puppet, and Kanye West, the scrapping of the Kanye West episode proved that. When you're thinking analytically, logically, and critically, you're gonna be like, damn, Floyd Mayweather had to don the Superman cape to save the zone and save Canelo Alvarez's rabbit ass. But you gotta be thinking analytically, critically, and you have to be thinking exponentially to see that. If you're not thinking on this level, you're not going to see that. So what I'm saying is me and Ross are not doing anything special. We're just taking the time out to basically do the work in terms of how we think and how we unction ourselves. You guys do that, y'all gonna start seeing this shit the same way too. Hopefully y'all took that. If y'all didn't take nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to say, Rose?
Nah, that's not. I said everything I had to say, man. Like I said, this is another great live. We got some good, some decent participation. I would like to see better participation, and I would also like to see more of the donate to motivate, showing this channel and this partnership love. Because let's be honest, we could easily just throw anything together and say what everybody else is saying. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's nothing else to follow behind that. y'all motherfuckers, like he said, donate to motivate, man. It was real. We appreciate everyone that tuned in. And we'll catch y'all again on Sunday. Be easy. Peace.
Peace.